different from Neela in the book?
Neela in real life, well, she doesn't like potato chips as much as the Neela in the book does. I don't know if Neela would be as much of a risk taker as the Neela in the book. The Neela in the book gets on a bus without knowing where it's going. She runs after a train. If you get to that scene while it's taking off, she does things that I don't think the real Neela would do. And you kind of need to have a character that's going to take risks, that's going to do things that we wouldn't do in real life. Yeah.
You relate to Neela in the book and
Well, I took a lot of things from my life and I put it in there. A couple of things. One is that one thing about Neela in real life is she's not afraid to play music in public. In fact, she plays the vina really, really well. And in the beginning, when my book came out, she would come with me and she would perform. And she wasn't scared of playing. And you know what? I was scared of playing. I had stage fright. You know what that is? Like, my knees would shake, my hands would shake when I had to play. And I put that in the book. Yeah, that's all me. And then the other stuff that's in the book is that I love Boston, and so I tried to put little things that I liked about Boston or that were important to me. I stuck that in. I used to go to work and I would take the bus to Harvard Square. I would take the T. I put all those things in. And then there's this scene towards the end where Neela is falling off a train. Well, that happened to me. I didn't fall off the train, but I was stepping off the subway. You know, if you take the subway here, there's a big sign that says, watch the gap. They say it differently here. They say like mind the gap, or they changed the phrase that they use, but basically you have to watch your step or you might step into the gap. Well, I stepped into the gap. I had a big package. It was my dad's birthday. I was mailing him something, and I stepped back because somebody needs to get off the train, and I fell right through up to here in the gap. I didn't get hurt, luckily, because somebody came and they just scooped me up and they put me on the platform. They just picked me up in one sweep and they put me on the platform, and then they walked off. And luckily nothing had happened to me, but I thought, I have to use this in my story someday. So that's what I did in the book. There's a scene where something similar happens to me.
So I get it from cover now. So she's right here.
Yes.
And she's going on a train, but
Yes, well that's not the scene where she's about to get on the train. Now the interesting thing about this cover is that this scene on the front where she's standing in the train station and it's completely empty, there are no people there, and the Venus kind of leaning against the post. There is nothing like that in the book. There's no scene like that in the book at all. But everybody loved this cover, so what I did was I went back and I wrote a scene where she's dreaming about being in the station. Because you know, if you go to an Indian station, an urban Indian station, train station, it's never going to be empty like this. If you go to Grand Central, is it ever empty like this? No, it's full of people carrying bags, you know, and actually I saw somebody carrying a cage with a chicken in it once in India. I mean, you see all kinds of people. People with chickens, people with suitcases, people with large groups of kids running and trying to catch a train. You'll never see it like this. When I fell through the gap. It happened so quickly, I didn't realize how dangerous it was. Like, the train could have moved, I could have broken a leg. I think afterwards, a lot of times when something like that happens, you don't really realize until after. Yeah, but now when I go to the train station, I'm always looking for that gap. I always make sure that I don't, accidentally step in there. Any other questions? Yeah.
In the picture, I could see that the train is different colors. Like, one of them maybe or the other poster, and another this poster. Like,
say that again, I'm not following. Yeah.
See, because this one, it looks like it's a day train.
Because of the
And
lights.
this one's night.
Because the lights inside. Are you talking about the lights inside the train?
No, because it's
Oh, the lights in the station? Are you talking about?
the train.
The train.
Different color. This one looks like it's day, and this one looks like it's
Oh, possibly. I mean, the illustrator kind of does what they want. You know that, right? I don't get to tell the illustrator what goes on the cover. right? What goes on the cover? I don't get to say. I mean, I can give my input. I can say, well, I think, you know, the girl should have a ponytail. She has blonde hair. I think there should be something that kind of tells you this is India. But ultimately, it's not my decision. It's the editing team.
So you can give them like ideas for.
I can give them ideas, I can give them pointers, but I didn't tell them to do a train station. But you know, the funny thing is, in my mind, I pictured a train station. And so John Klassen, who did the cover, it's like he read my brain, and that's what he came up with. So it's pretty amazing when that happens. Yeah.
My leg had got stuck in the gas and the train was on the board. But then my mom pulled my leg. She dropped the bag and pulled me.
Oh my gosh. Did you get hurt? What was going through your mind? Did you realize what had happened? Yeah, it's a very scary feeling. It's good that your mom thought so quickly to pull you up like that. Yeah.
When I'm on the train station sometimes, I'm really scared when I'm with my little sister because she runs around a lot. And I'm scared that she might fall on the track. So when I'm in the train station, I'll always hold her hand and she's like right near me. And when we step on the train, I say, babe, look. And then she's like, all right. And she steps over and I'm on the train.
I'm also scared of the same thing. I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. I'm always scared that they're standing so too close to the tracks. Yeah, I always make sure that they're on the right side. I mean, they're behind the yellow line. But you know what? The other thing, and I don't know how many of you use the subway. Do you guys use the subway? Do you go by yourself on the subway or no? So when I was young, and this was something I was going to talk about earlier, but I'll tell you now. I used to go to the library by myself. Like when I was 10 or 11, I would go on the bus by myself, and this wasn't a big city like New York, but it was still, you know, there was a downtown. I would get on the bus by myself, go downtown, get off at the mall, meet my best friend, and we would go off to the library. And we would get books, we would do everything by ourselves and come back. It was such a great feeling of independence. I don't know if we can do that anymore. You know, I think the world has kind of changed. So I wonder, like for us here, we have a subway. Now the subway can be scary if you follow the tracks, but that doesn't happen, right? We know how to take it safely, and by having that, we can go anywhere in the whole city. We don't need anybody else to take us if we have that. Yes.
I have two questions. One last thing. My sister, she's sick, and she likes running around and chasing, so every time I see her almost getting yelled at, I hold her arm.
Well, that's good that you keep an eye on it, because it can be dangerous if we're not careful. Let's go to the story. Now, I know some of you have read it, and some of you haven't, and that's okay. But I'd like to find out, for those of you who had a chance to read part of it, what do you think of Sheela's music teacher? Has anybody met Sheela's music teacher yet in the book? Her name is Sodaranti, and she's kind of strict. Yeah. What do you think of her? Do you think she's a good teacher?
I think she is a good teacher because she lends one of her student named, Venus to Sheela.
Yeah, so she actually gives Sheela one of her Venas to practice on, her student Vena. And that happens sometimes. A Vena teacher will have several in her house, and she gives one to Sheela. What else? I mean, she's very strict. She's always kind of harping on Sheela to practice more. What do you think about her? Do you think she's a good teacher?
I think so she can get better and people practice and she'll get better.
Right. So her strictness kind of makes sure that Sheela keeps practicing, because that practice is really what makes you a better player. Yeah. Yeah, so I think she cares. She cares about whether Sheela is going to be a good musician or not. But she's very strict. And sometimes it's a cultural thing, you know, like my violin teacher isn't as strict as as my daughter's Indian dance teacher. You know, so I always wondered, is it better for the teacher to be strict or not? Did somebody have something to say there? Okay, can I ask you another question? Partway through the story, Neela's in art class, and her friend puts a paint mark on another boy's forehead, and she's kind of teasing Neela about this dot, right? Do people know what this dot is that you might see Indian ladies wearing? Yeah.
I think
It can mean that you're married, not you. Sometimes, and some people say that that's what it means. Yeah.
I think it's just representing where she's from.
Yeah, it's like a beauty mark, and a lot of women in India wear it. It's called a bindi, and nowadays it's like a sticker, just like a sticker. You can put it there. Sometimes it's like a piece of jewelry. It glitters. It has sparkles. You can also draw it with a pen. There are different ways you can put it on. So Neela doesn't want to wear one because she feels like people will treat her differently. Do you think that's the case? Do you think that if somebody wears one to them, how do you think they'll be treated? Yeah.
I think that they should be treated respectfully because everybody's different.
Okay, they should be treated respectfully because it's part of their custom. And so her friend wears one, but she doesn't because she's kind of embarrassed, which is how I felt when I was growing up. I didn't want that attention to me. I didn't want people to think I was different. I wanted people to think I was just like everybody else. Yeah.
Do they like put like a piercing right there instead of like a sticker or something?
A pear shape?
A piercing.
A piercing. It's typically not done, but now people do all kinds of piercings, so it's possible. I don't know. But are you saying, do anybody actually pierce it or tattoo it or something? Not usually, but there may be people who do it.
They have one now too.
Where have you seen that? Yeah, in Indian dance, for example, you can wear really elaborate jewelry. It goes into your hair. There's a little thing that hangs in the front, and then you have dangly earrings. You can have lots of stuff like that, and it's really beautiful. It's tricky to wear while you're dancing. Okay, does anybody have any more questions about the book? Yeah. If not, I can ask you at the end. Yeah.
How would you rate your book?
How would I rate my book? I think I've never been asked that before. Well, what is the rating system? Like 1 out of 5?
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10? For me, I would probably say a 7, maybe a 7 or an 8, because I think I could probably do better. Are you giving me a 10? That's really nice. Yeah.
I will say 10.
Oh, thank you. Ratings are always scary, so I try not to use them. Yeah.
If there was a message that you would want the reader to think about or to know after reading your book, do you know what that would be?
Well, there's several. One important thing is, I don't know how many of you play an instrument, but for me, when I was growing up, it was really hard to know where music was going to fit in my life. I wanted to be a composer. I wanted to be a professional musician. And then I found out halfway through, like when I got to college, that I didn't have the guts to stick with it. I was scared of the competition. And I think music is so much more than competing with each other. And when we're young, that seems like that's what most of our lives playing music is about. Being in an orchestra and getting a seat or playing in front of judges. Again, I don't know if that's what your experience is, but that was sort of what was going on in my life. And I couldn't handle that competition. It was really hard. And I think as you get older, music will come back into your life in different ways. So music was an important thing. But the other thing was, as I said before, when I came to this country, the books I was reading were like Heidi and Nancy Drew and A Wrinkle in Time. And maybe you've read some of these books. These were like great adventure stories about strong-willed girls. But there wasn't anybody like me. There wasn't a book about an Indian girl, solving a mystery. There were books about Indians, and there are today, but not about mysteries. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to write that. So that was something I'm hoping that more and more people will write about their experiences and their communities and their ethnic cultures, what they bring to this. Yeah.
Would you ever consider making a sequel?
I don't know. I think it's done. I think it's kind of its own complete thing. But I am writing another mystery novel. It's set in Dobbs Ferry, which is about 30-40 minutes from here. It's on the river. And it's about this mysterious graffiti that shows up in the town. And there's a story behind it. Yeah. I told somebody, and you guys have to keep it a secret, because I haven't really shared it with the rest of the world yet. It's called Find Me in Dobbs Ferry. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I want to do this mystery exercise. I don't know how much time we have because I guess we're early, so we can probably go a little over. This is what I do when I teach a writing workshop on how to write a mystery. We're not going to write the whole mystery. We don't have stuff to write with. Is there a pen or something that I can? What we're going to do is just come up with the idea. Okay, and this is kind of what I did when I wrote Vanish. Some people start at the end, but I start at the beginning. Thank you. I started with, well, what happens when this instrument disappears? How do we get it back? We're going to do something like that. Very quickly. So these are the two items. We're going to pick one. Okay. This is a picture frame that could house like a very important painting. This is a ring. Who wants to do the ring? Raise your hand. Sorry, the ring. Who wants to do the painting? Okay, so we're going to do the ring. This is going to be the mystery of the missing ring. Okay. The mystery. And forgive me, I'm just going to shorthand it, okay? The mystery of the missing ring. Right. So, what I want from you guys is tell me the person who owns this ring. This ring is going to go missing. So who owns it? You have that. Who's the person who owns this?
How about someone from your school?
Somebody from the school?
Name someone from your school, Yali.
A fictitious person.
Miss Brown. Miss Jones.
Oh, a teacher. That's even better. Okay. Miss Jones, is she? Yeah.
Miss Jones.
Miss Jones. That's easy for me to spell. Okay, so Miss Jones. Miss Jones is the owner of this ring, okay? Is she a teacher? I just assumed that. Is she a teacher? Oh, she's here. Oh my goodness. We're writing a mystery about Miss Jones. Okay, so is she a 5th grade teacher?
Yeah.
All right. She teaches 5th grade. All right. All right, she teaches 5th grade. Now we're not going to think of who she is. We're going to come up with our own details. How did she get the ring?
Someone has to know.
Okay, you have to raise your hand if everybody shouts at what.
She found it in the train station.
Oh, she found it. Okay, she found it.
Not the train station.
Okay, so she found the ring.
She found it in the river.
I heard train stations. We're gonna go with that.
Oh,
No? She found it at the bottom of the river. What was she doing at the bottom of the river? She was scuba diving in a river. She was scuba diving. Okay, so Miss Jones knows how to scuba. So she knows how to scuba dive. Is everybody okay with that? Is that too wacky? Yes. So she is a scuba diver, and she found the ring in the lake or the river. Okay, I'm gonna say lake. I don't know if people scuba dive in the river. She's a scuba diver. Okay. Well, she's a teacher also.
Yeah.
Okay. But she likes to scuba dive? Okay, she found it. Is this a valuable ring? I mean, what did she think?
It's like $1,000.
It's 1,000. How did the ring end up at the bottom of the lake?
Please raise your hand.
Raise your hand, yeah.
It's from a long time ago.
It's from a long time ago. How did it end up there? You've answered. We're gonna give somebody else the turn. Let's see. Somebody has got you, Mister.
There was a picture attached to it with a drawing that had a woman with that same ring on. From a long
There was a
time.
picture. Is a picture at the bottom of the
Yeah,
lake?
so the ring was next to a drawing that was concealed in gravel.
Okay. How did the picture survive the water? Is it in some kind of a
Yeah,
special?
in a jar. In a treasure, like a little treasure.
Okay, so Miss Jones finds a picture and the ring encased in like a jar, something that's preventing it from getting damaged. Okay, I don't know if I can read all this. So who's found the ring? It's an old ring. That's my phone. It's an old ring with a piece of paper in a jar. Oh, there's a message that says, whoever finds it, beware. Okay, so there's a warning. Okay, so this is great. Okay, so there's a warning that Miss Jones doesn't heed. Okay,
So she's like,
even though it says beware, she scoops it up and she puts it on her finger and she comes to school. She comes to school with this ring on her finger. Okay, let's come up with some people in Miss Jones' life. Okay, before the ring goes missing. Okay, who are some of the people that Miss Jones knows? She knows you? Yeah. Who else does she know? She knows her class. Okay, anybody else? Yeah. Are you stretching or are you raising your hand? You're stretching. Okay. How about you?
she knows Miss Maldonado.
Okay, Mrs. M. Who is she? A fellow teacher? A co-teacher.
That's my last name.
Okay, so she knows teachers, she knows students. Does anybody else know about this ring in the school?
I don't.
Somebody has to know about this ring.
Natalie.
The student, okay, a student. Who else? Are you raising your hand now? Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. So she knows the students. Are you suspicious?
Also,
You're
Christian.
Okay, so she's wearing this ring, okay, to school. So everybody in the class can see the ring. Yeah. Who?
No, it's another student.
Okay,
We
so
already said she knows students.
students, teachers, anybody else that might know something about this ring? Who else might know something about this ring? Okay, who's not a student or a teacher? Yeah. Her roommate. Okay, that's great. So Miss Jones shares a room with another woman. Who is it? Another woman who knows about the ring. Does she know about the message?
Yeah, she knows about the history.
She knows about the history. We have the roommate. Okay, so we have the students, the other teachers. This is great. A roommate is great. Okay, who knows about the paper? Any last? These are going to be suspects. Do we know what a suspect is? Somebody who might have taken the ring. Okay. Yeah. Me. Nobody more in here. All of you are in this pool of students. Okay. Somebody else other than students, teacher, and her roommate. Yeah. Principal. Okay, principal. What did the principal say when she saw Miss Jones wearing this fancy ring to her class? Did she say, "I love your ring"?
No.
What did she say?
She said, what a beautiful.
What a beautiful ring. Is that what? Oh, what did the principal say that sounds suspicious to you? What could she have said? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that looks like an awfully interesting ring.
That looks like an interesting ring. What else could she have said that might make her sound suspicious?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like, almost under her mouth.
She kind of said something under her breath. Okay. Anything else she could say that would kind of think you kind of think was suspicious? Yeah.
She could have said, like, I
that looks like the one she had.
Oh, okay, even better. Hey, that looks like my ring from my family that's been missing. Yeah. What else?
She probably had a picture like ancient times from her history, right? And
Okay.
somebody was wearing it, and then
She has a picture of the ring. She has a picture of the ring. Hey, this is great. This is what makes the principal suspicious because of the things she says and the things she does. Does the roommate do anything suspicious?
Yeah.
What does a roommate do that is so suspicious? Yeah.
So when this shows what's teacher class, her roommate was cleaning the house, so then she started looking at her diary.
Okay.
And then it shows that she had, if you have it shows wrote the wording, and she said that she has a roommate, and then she's gonna send it.
Okay, this roommate is reading Miss Jones' diary. Okay, that kind of makes her unscrupulous, right? What else could this roommate do that's suspicious? What could she say or do? Yeah.
in the movie she said she searched about the history of the ring.
Okay, so
She said if I could afford information and actual.
all right, the roommate is looking up information about this ring, right? She's trying to find out the history of the ring. Yeah.
Maybe the roommate needed money desperately.
Okay, the roommate is poor, or the roommate needs money for something. Okay, for maybe for the rent. Okay, for the next month's rent, she doesn't have the money to cover it, and she sees this ring. Okay, well she could pawn the ring and get money. Okay, one last thing that this roommate can do that's suspicious.
She could work with the principal to get the ring away from the ring.
Oh, so the roommate and the principal are in cahoots together. Okay,
And
they're
they're finding plans to get the ring from him.
okay. So the roommate can even be working with the principal. You want to add one last thing? Yeah.
And maybe the roommate finds the picture of the woman with the ring and
Are you talking about the picture that was attached to the ring? Okay.
finds the picture and then she finds out that the ring is worth over $20 million.
Okay. So that's great. So by looking up information about the ring, she figures out its value, what it's worth. Okay. So we have the principal, we have the roommate, we have the students, and the teacher. So let's start the story by saying Miss Jones discovers that her ring is missing. Where does she discover the ring missing? In the lake. In her room. She wakes up in the morning and the ring is gone.
She kept it in the same box room. She only has a picture of luckily in her roommate.
Okay, what are some, okay, so let's take a vote. Who thinks the principal took the ring? Principal, who thinks the principal took the ring? The butler, that's another story. Okay, who thinks the roommate took the ring?
Guilty.
All right, who thinks the student took the ring? Who thinks the teacher took the ring? Okay, so different people have different ideas. Now, when she wakes up, this is the last thing we're going to do before we bring the story to an end. When she wakes up, what are some clues that she sees in her room that might give her an idea that it's the principal or it's the roommate or whoever it could be, whoever you think is the person who did it? Yeah.
They weren't listening. That person that took it left the note.
Well, okay, they left the note saying, I took it, or false. Okay, a note. A note is a good clue. The person leaves a clue that might tell you where it is, or might try to footprints. Okay, she wakes up and she sees muddy footprints near the window. Okay, or at the door. This person's not very smart walking through the mud. Okay, and he or she leaves the footprints near the door. What else could they find?
There's a person that always carries on the little notebook that ends up dropping it.
Okay, so the notebook of the, who is the person who's dropping the notebook? The principal? The principal carries a notebook and she drops it. She drops it on the floor. Yeah, okay, so she leaves something really important. Yeah.
When the victim can't open the chest, she has to go get something, and then when she goes to look for it, then she drops the powder or something all over the floor, and then when
Good, so something has changed in the room. The powder's been knocked over, okay? That's a good clue. That, you know what's good about the powder? You can leave prints in the powder, okay?
She steps in the powder.
She steps in the powder, and maybe the shape of the footprint, the shape of the shoe print looks like something the principal wears. Well, a mold, okay, yeah. What's that?
The student of the DS.
The student left the DS?
So,
So, okay, so the person who took it leaves something behind, and Ms. Jones knows, just by looking at it, who it belongs to. Okay, these are good clues, but they could be better. Okay, they could be better if they're not obvious. All right, maybe if you can't tell right away who's done it, they have to kind of, research it. Yeah.
She makes like a list of people who might take it. First, she goes to one of the closest.
Okay. So by a process of deduction, she comes up with a list and she tries to figure out who could have been. There might be several clues. Does anybody know what a red herring is? A red herring? A false clue. You know what a false clue is? It's a clue that makes you think somebody's done it, but they've actually not done it. Can we think of a false clue that Miss Jones could find, either at home or in the school? Yeah.
She had
At a party.
that went missing and somebody had some on.
Okay, so a party, so there could be several people who are in her room. So it may not be the roommate, it may be other people that were there. Yeah.
There was a meeting, and the roommate, like I say, when he said to leave, then the roommate probably thought that she was gonna get caught, so that she put it on the principal's chair.
Okay,
For
so she,
them to, Ms. Jones to think that.
so she framed the principal. Okay, she framed the principal, or she could leave something else, maybe the note, the jar that Ms. Jones found it. She could leave it in the principal's office. Right, that's a great example of a false clue. Let's do one more false clue, and then we're gonna wrap things up. You.
I was before I was gonna say that probably when they was walking out the room, right? Like there was a nail next to the door, and then a piece of their shirt or something got caught on it.
All right, that's great. That's actually very good. That's going to have to take some detective work. She may not know right away whose shirt's missing. The piece of the shirt. Yeah, but maybe later on in school she notices somebody who has a hole in their shirt where that little piece of cloth came off. Yeah. The cops can come. Yeah, the cops can come. But if you want to see the ring, we can pass around the ring. Okay, one last false clue. Yeah.
Maybe the night before she let her roommate borrow it, and she forgot. Maybe she let her roommate borrow it, and she forgot that she did, and the ring is and the roommate has it.
Okay, that could be.
It was like, so the night before, Ms. Jones gave her roommate the ring. And then she forgot that she let her borrow it. So the roommate has it, and now she's looking for it.
Okay, so that's a case where she forgets something important, an important detail. A false clue is something that's wrong. Somebody has planted that false clue to give up, the wrong idea to Ms. Jones. They want to get Ms. Jones off their track. So they're putting a false clue. So Ms. Jones thinks that somebody else is taking it. Yeah.
False clue would be like at the party. It was a party for the students and the teachers.
Okay.
And so the person who probably took it left one of the students behind.
Okay, so some of the students' things could be left behind in the room, which might lead Ms. Jones to think that it's the student who took it, and it's not the student, right? It's somebody else. Okay, so I'm gonna end this exercise, but this is the kind of stuff that I did when I was writing the book. I came up with all the possible suspects. Who would want to take it and why? And then what are the clues that person would leave behind? Okay, so I'm I'm gonna, since we asked a lot of questions in the middle, I'm gonna just end it right here. We probably have to get to the buses. Am I gonna be signing?
We would love it. Are you willing to sign?
Oh, sure.
Give autographs?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay,
Ladies and gentlemen, and you still have your attention. Before we invite students up to get their book autographed by the author, I'm going to say thank you to the author.